Just imagine that after everything Moses has been through. These were the waters of Meribah, which means quarreling, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord and where he showed himself holy among them. There is frustration in waiting, and there is frustration in dealing with circumstances that are difficult. It can cause us to make some very poor decisions, to be very short-sighted, like Moses was in this moment, rather than to know, trust, and believe that God was guiding every piece of this, and he just needed to be faithful through the whole thing. He lost sight of that because of the frustration that had been caused to him, the personal hurt and wounding that had been caused to him. I broke this down into 3 things for us to take home. This is going to be super quick, but just hang with me on these 3 things. And when you experience this, I hope this will be the way you can kind of break it down in your own life. You are going to have tests of your faith. That's the first one. The test of faith is going to oftentimes feel like a desperate need. There was a desperate need in that camp of the people, and so they're kvetching and, complaining and doing all the stuff, and Moses is frustrated. That need is going to present itself. Need is going to always be there. And the fact that Moses was dealing with a complaining people, that was not new. They had been this way. You and I are often the same way when it comes to waiting. We get frustrated and we get short-sighted. We often fail to trust God in seasons of waiting. Lord, I prayed about this, and it's already tomorrow morning, and I still don't have an answer. Right? Those are the times when you should remind yourself what the Bible says about God's time, that to the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. So the fact that you want an answer the next morning, maybe just take a breath. All right? Let the Lord move in his time, because we've already established that's better than your time, but you and I need a lot of reminding around this. We lose sight of God in seasons of waiting. The Israelites had literally been freed from slavery, from captivity. They had walked across dry ground, across the Red Sea. They had been brought this far, and yet still they're doubting. Like, hey, where's God? And yet that is you and me when we think about our own spiritual lives, of all the ways that God has been faithful to us throughout our life, and we look back over our life and we can recall, or we can tell stories about, I'm so glad this worked out this way, and how God took care of me during that season, and man, that was really rough, or I really wanted this to go this way, and you know what, it didn't go that way, but hey, it all worked out, and isn't that amazing? It's like God's timing was better than mine. God's direction for my life was better than my plan. We know this, but when we are in moments of desperate need, we very easily lose sight of it. The second thing is, how will you respond in those seasons of waiting? Will you be a person of obedience, or will you be a person of impatience? Impatience causes you to make dumb decisions. It just does. Impatience, frustration, we've all been there. Moses and Aaron initially responded the right way. They went to God, they listened to God, they were going to do what God told them to do, and then things just got off the rails because they lost sight of his direction for their life, and they just started going their own way, or they let circumstances surrounding them pull them away from what they knew to be right. Don't do that. Learn the lesson from Moses. Sometimes the dumbest stuff we do is because we get tired of waiting. It's like the fool that causes a car accident at a 4-way crossing when they take off out of order, or when there isn't enough time to get across the road, but they go anyway because they're tired of waiting, and it causes a terrible accident. If that's true of 4-way stops in cars, how much more true is it of your life? How many accidents, how many car crashes in your life have you caused because of impatience? Because you wouldn't wait on the Lord. Most of us can look back on our life and think of plenty of them. Plenty of them. The third and final thing is that there are consequences of impatience. For Moses, it was missing out on the promised land. And again, that had to be so difficult because it was everything that he was looking forward to. And Moses' disobedience in this moment cost him dearly. Seemingly to us, we would say too dearly, like, man, does that punishment fit the crime? But God's ways are not our ways, and his expectation for his leaders is high. The Bible makes this clear in James. It says that not many of you should be teachers. Not many of you should be teachers because, again, it comes with an extra weight of responsibility. It comes with a higher standard. I've got some news for every one of you, though, in this room. You are all in a position of leadership. Leaders will be held to a higher standard. If you are a Christ follower, you have put yourself in the position of a leader, and you're like, well, I didn't know I was signing up for that. Well, welcome.